Hi friends, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at two more of my 1/18 scale Cyborg figures. So I have a whole bunch of these guys. I've been doing my own kind of world building, if you will, and I really dig them. They're kind of niche because obviously they're only stuff that I would know, and I did a video previously, you can go ahead and check it out, showcasing two of them, and now I'm going to be showcasing another two. So let's start out with the guy on the left here, my left, and that's going to be Dr. Ayatollah. So this guy in my universe is essentially a madman that, well, you could call him mad or you could just call him genius. He creates these human cyborg hybrid things that essentially run his compound, but he also sells them or puts them on contract with all sorts of futuristic military companies and what will you. Uh, and he's kind of just a very mysterious fella. He does have a face under this, but I'm not going to reveal it because I feel like that little bit of mystery kind of adds a lot to him. And it's a really cool helmet. This actually didn't change. It's from G.I. Joe. It's the only thing I changed was what was underneath that, and it gets across the idea of kind of like this. There's a guy under there. This helmet. You get the idea. It kind of enhances his abilities. Maybe can see a little bit better in it. Maybe he needs it for some sort of respiratory purposes. And then I gave him this really cool black coat, which came from a Star Wars figure. It's kind of got like a military look, but also kind of like a lab coat. So I see it as like a black lab coat. And then the body underneath is a Cobra Commander figure from Rise of the Cobra. And it didn't really change anything. I think I kind of painted some parts black that were a little silvery. And he just has like a really neat aesthetic, in my opinion. This was a kind of low effort custom, but I didn't really need to get too much detail in there because this guy's kind of straight up just kind of a dark, cloaked, somewhat mysterious fella that you don't really want to do too many things to him to kind of create too much visual noise. So this is my either hero or antagonist of the story, if you will, and this guy here is his security detail. So I call this guy Trax. As you can see, he has these severed heads attached to him, and then this more robotic head as kind of the lead face there. The way I see it is there's probably not even really a whole head in this center here, but definitely these heads here. And I see them as kind of a attached consciousness where each head has perhaps its own sort of brain waves that are going through, and it all kind of conforms to this one creature, if you will. The reason why he has these heads with all these like little cameras set up on them is being his security detail. This guy is intended to sort of keep an eye out, keep a lookout on all things, and he is just constantly monitoring, constantly recording, always on top of things. And if he has to fight or anything like that, obviously he's not going to be using these hands. He would be using this minigun attachment, which does swivel. It's attached on the back here. And obviously that piece right there came from Final Faction. Really nice little detail, in my opinion. Because if you're going to have security, he better be pretty decked out. And this would fire like 50 caliber bullets. As I see it, that would chew up any problem really fast. In addition, he has a separate bottom half from the top half. This here is Fortnite legs, with the top half being a G.I. Joe. Torso, I'm not really sure which one it was. I think it was Sergeant Stone. I had a lot of like scrap Joe parts that I've used for this guy, as well as his backpack here, which is kind of all attached to him, and then these cords that run through. This is a Joe part, and then these cords are from like earbuds or something that I chopped up and painted over. Let's get a close-up look on these heads because I'm kind of happy with how they turned out. Wanted to give them kind of a almost rotten flesh look to them. Obviously, the eyes are not real; they're gone. big hollowed out, faceless. I wanted it to look very grotesque and monstrous. Kind of give the idea that this is no longer human, whatever it was, and this is kind of a tortured soul, if you will. Having this tubing coming out from that center there, I see this as something that helps keep this separate entity alive. And then these bars attaching him there. And then I assume this would be for the cameras. This would run straight to the brain, if you will. It's really, really neat. Over here, separate head there as well. I've made this one look a little sadder. I thought that would kind of give the point of more of a tortured fella. Missing that whole bottom half of his jaw, replaced with this sort of discus piece with the wire running out. Yeah. And the way I see it, not only does Dr. Ayatollah here go for creating these very high-tech monsters with all sorts of specific purposes, but I think he's a bit of a twisted mind, and he wants them to look intimidating and horrific. And I feel like that really is translated with fellas like Trax here. He kind of has like a Snake Eyes feel, in my opinion, where he's kind of a faceless guy, but at the same time having these heads here is just really, really ups the ante, in my opinion. So I really dig these guys. They were a lot of work, but also not that much work, you know. I've been collecting Joes for a while, so I have a lot of these parts lying around, and customizing just comes second nature now, so I can go over articulation with them. This guy, you know, it's pretty standard. It's literally just the Cobra Commander body, so he's fully articulated. He's got the hinged elbow or shoulder that can go all the way up and down, full rotation at the elbows, and then he does have a bend to just about 90 degrees. Can get out there too. Then his wrists do spin as well. This one spins, as well as the other side is going to be completely the same. And then he does have this waist articulation, which you can't really move too much with the jacket here. Head, of course, is articulated and can move all sorts of ways. Then we have the hips, can kick forward, and he's limited by the jacket. He does have a double jointed knee, and then ankle articulation, which is pretty good. It can do toe points, because it's just a hinge, and then a full 360. Let me put him back on his little stand there. He's got tiny feet, so he needs a little assistance more than Trax there. Trax has some big old solid feet, and as long as I don't knock into him, he don't really fall over. So let me set him up. There we are. And then Trax here. Everything on him is going to be a little limited based off of the parts that I have attached, but the head is free up here, can move back and forth and all that, ball joint. The shoulder can do all sorts of articulation there, minus it's a little stiff because it does have paint all over the joints. I try to do a thin paint so that it doesn't scrape off when I articulate, but you know, that's never a guarantee. And then elbows do articulate as well, moves back and forth, can go all the way out, so you can extend it as far as he needs. You can get him off to the side there. And then no wrist articulation. These heads just kind of sit wherever you aim them. Same articulation on the other side. No real limitation different from this one. Then he does have this waist articulation, or like upper body articulation, not really at the waist. It's kind of cool. It gets back and forth, and you can do a little in and out. Nothing at the actual waist there, but then the hips do kick forward, kick outward, and there's also a hip, I guess you would call that thigh swivel. Could do a full 360 with that if you want. Double jointed knees, very versatile there. And then ankles, they are articulated with this hinge at the top here, so they can turn, a little limited by the cuff. And then they also have an up and down motion, which if you need to, you could kind of wiggle to be a, what would you call that, ankle pivot, the rocker pivot. So if you want to give it in more of an action-oriented, wide-footed stance, you could. It just takes some finagling. So it's pretty well articulated. I wanted to retain all of the playability of these guys. Didn't want to limit that. And I think I did that pretty well. So tell me what you guys think. Should I show you guys some more of these, or should I just knock it off? Alright, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.